Deputy President's Office, Bramwell Bwire, Curtain.
So how did we exactly get to this particular point where we're at as a country? Of course, let's just take a trip down memory lane. After weeks of talks and hearsay of an impeachment, on October 1st, we saw Kibwezi West Member of Parliament, that is Mwengi Mutuse, table an impeachment motion against Rigathi Gachagua, and he outlined 11 grounds for impeachment, including gross constitutional violation, abuse of office, misconduct, and insubordination. And of course, we saw 291 members of parliament signed in support of that particular motion. Fast forward to October 4th and 5th, where we saw two-day public participation take place, and it was conducted countrywide, and just to get the views of Kenyans regarding the impeachment motion tabled. Thereafter, on Monday, we saw Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who called then, the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who called for a press briefing, vowed to challenge the public participation process conducted for his impeachment, declaring it as a nullity. Then fast forward to October 8th, where the National Assembly voted to uphold that motion. 281 members of parliament voted in favor of the impeachment motion. We saw 44 were against and 1 abstained, meeting that threshold provided in the Constitution. To October 14th, where we saw submission of evidence, the National Assembly submitted dozens upon dozens of evidence to the Senate to support their decision of approving the impeachment motion against the embattled, that is the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And on the other hand, we saw the former Deputy President Gachagua's legal team submit just a few cartons, beating the 5 p.m. deadline that was issued to the parties by the Speaker of the Senate, Amason Kingi. Now, on October 16th, that was this week on Wednesday, it was day one of the impeachment trial. Now, it began, and on day one, we saw the opening statements from both sides where, they raised the various issues, and then equally we saw witnesses take to the stand for cross-examination, and it was a heated debate that many Kenyans, of course, enjoyed. The driver of the motion, that is Kibwezi West Member of Parliament, Mwengi Mutuse, took to the stand, as well as the ex-KEMSA CEO Andrew Mulwa, and of course we saw that back and forth. And on that same day, just to remind you, earlier on that morning, the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua suffered a setback after that 3-judge bench declined to stop the Senate impeachment trial, citing separation of powers, saying the courts should be reluctant to take over mandates of other arms of government. And we'll be tackling this with our panel here in studio. And of course, day 2 of the impeachment trial, that was yesterday, cross-examination of witnesses continued, and we saw some witnesses not appear to be cross-examined. And of course, we saw the team, the DP's legal team, argue that they should be removed from the record since they did not appear for cross-examination. But that afternoon, something interesting happened, as when the afternoon session began after the Speaker, Amason Kingi, gave the floor to the witness, that is the sole witness, that was Deputy President former Rigathi Gachagua's legal team. The former DP was nowhere to be seen. And then we saw Senior Counsel Paul Mwite come out and say that the former Deputy President is sick and he is in current hospital admitted. Later, he argued that that particular session be adjourned to Saturday to give Rigathi Gachagua time to recover from his illness. But we saw senators rule against it, and that particular session continued. That led to the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua on 5 grounds against the 11 that were tabled against him. And then, fast forward to today, where we are. The nomination of the nomination and voting of the DP nominee, President William Ruto, earlier on nominated Professor Kithure Kindiki as his deputy. Then we saw the National Assembly vote in favor of this particular nomination. And of course, a few moments after, we saw the High Court issue temporary orders stopping the replacement of Rigathi Gachagua as a deputy president until October 24th. When the matter will be mentioned before a bench to be nominated by Chief Justice Martha Koome. And it's equally good to note that the High Court in Kerugoya has barred Kithure Kindiki from assuming office. So what happens in such a situation? Let's dive into our conversation. I have legal minds with me. To my far left, Dr. Maxwell Miyawa, scholar and advocate, and we equally have Willis Otieno just next to me, an advocate. We'll be jumping into this conversation shortly, but first, a break.